Apparently 42 is the answer to life, the universe, and everything. 42 tells the story of Jackie Robinson as the first African-American baseball player to make it to the major leagues. Chadwick Boseman stars as Jackie Robinson, Harrison Ford as the owner that made it all happen, and it surrounds the tumult that happened when this black player was introduced to what had been before that an only white world. This is a powerful, true story. And if you think that Jackie Robinson playing baseball in the major leagues was just one of those things that had to happen eventually and it wasn't a big deal, this movie should put that to rest. This was a huge deal in a really symbolic way for the country to start to adapt to what it meant to be a less racist country, a less racist culture, and how we've progressed since then. It's really, really incredible. Let's talk about the performances straight off. Chadwick Boseman as Jackie Robinson is great. There is something so likable and genuine about his performance here. Now, who Jackie Robinson was, I don't know how that matches up with his performance, but the person he portrayed on screen was funny, interesting, complex, had a lot of dynamics, had anger that he had to work through, also had this real weight upon his shoulders that you could just sense and feel in a lot of these scenes. Overall, it was a performance I was really, really impressed with, as was Harrison Ford's performance. I give it a little bit of a just because Harrison Ford is really cheesy and over the top here at times, though he's given a lot to chew on, a lot of speeches here, and he chooses to portray this owner as kind of this, not one note, but certainly this caricature of a man who just has all these interesting things to say in this gruff way of saying them. I did find it interesting to see Harrison Ford play an older character because, you know, usually as actors in America get older, they try to kind of play young still, and it was nice to see him kind of play to age. I really enjoyed that. There's also several surrounding performances that I really enjoyed from a lot of those people that you know from other things that you can't quite put, you know, their name with them. Kind of that guy's like, oh, it's that guy. I know him from such and such. Oh, that guy. There's a lot of those in here and some very good performances as well. I also really enjoyed the sense of humor of this. There's some really funny moments in this movie, like laugh out loud funny, and I don't know that I was expecting that. There's a really great sense of humor here that you might enjoy. Let's talk about the negatives, though, and it really boils down to one thing: melodrama. 42 is a very powerful story, but it almost gets a little too full of itself sometimes, a little too preachy, a little too trying to make the point, and a little too over the top. I'll give a specific example of a young boy in the stands, and of course the point of the scene is to show how racism is passed on from generation to generation, but it's done in this really ham-fisted kind of way that you just go, okay, I get it. You could have made that a little more subtle and I could have got the same point and maybe felt it a little more deeper because it wouldn't have felt as fake. Plus the ending is really melodramatic and it's not really an important moment. They try to build up this important moment that just really isn't there when you kind of see through all the slow motion replays, and it's like every character in the movie gets a slow motion part in the ending. From the announcer to the coaches to the players, it's a really interesting thing that happens there. And the way this movie treats kind of minute details of this story can kind of be too big at times. I thought for sure the way they were talking about stolen bases, this was like the most important part of baseball, but no, really it's not. It is an important part, just not the way they treat it, as if it were the Holy Grail or something like that. So the melodrama is dialed up a little bit too much for me, but at the end of the day, the emotion is so real here and so genuine. That means something because this is a true story about a real man with real emotion. And there is one scene in particular where the melodrama kind of fades away and it just gets really, really brutal. There's two halves to this scene. There's the aggression of the racism and then the reaction of the one who's being aggressed upon. Both are just intense and dynamic, and for that scene alone, this movie's almost worth seeing. I think overall, the emotion wins the day, and this is a movie you'll come out of being glad that you saw it.